Greetings, viewers. Thanks for joining me in the shop today. Looking at the black 3rd Gen after a wheeling trip. I've talked about having to set the alignment and the wheels being out. You can see that back wheel to this front wheel, pretty straight, not too bad, pointed ahead, looks okay. I would drive that no problem. This side over here, you look at the back wheel straight, you come up to the front one, you can see it is turned in and in at the bottom. So what I'm talking about, because I've complained about this before on video, and I've talked about these alignment cams getting knocked out of whack. I got a light under here to try and show you this one in the back here. Look how far over I pushed that on my last wheeling trip. Pushing that in, oddly enough, because the tie rod is behind it, it pushes the back of the tire out. That's why alignment guys don't get paid enough. It's like trying to work a puzzle when you're aligning these at home. Well, I've done some research on this and looked at some other front ends, things people have done to them. And I cut a bunch of these slugs out of some 1/4 inch thick steel. I'm going to go in here, cut out these tabs that are in there from the factory, cut these tabs out and weld these in place. They're lots thicker, they're more sturdy, they're going to keep these alignment tabs or these alignment cams in place, keep from smushing those over. I've started on my skid plates. I built this big thing out of 1/4 inch for the front to protect the radiator and welded it on. I really like it. I'm going to leave it. It's kind of big and bulky, but that radiator hangs low and this really protects that. It's suffered quite a bit of bashing and I'm happy with it. I'm going to do my skid plates. These I welded on as temporary like 3 wheeling trips ago and they're still on there. But to get to these cams and to fix this front end, because I'm going to go to Windrock here in a few weeks, go down Kentucky and wheel, and I want this fixed. So going to cut into some of this, get the wheels off, tear this apart, and then I'm going to show you how I'm going to put these big old 1/4 inch slugs in there to keep my alignment in check. Okay, when I put these skid plates on temporarily, I just welded one side along right here so that hopefully when I cut these welds back here, there's just 2, one on each side. I'm going to grind those off. Tried to make them small but strong enough to hold. Hopefully when I cut those off, I can just pull this forward and break all those welds. We'll see how that goes, but first order of business is going to be to grind that off. So I'll be right back after I grind those welds off. You'll see that didn't take much doing. Didn't really remove much material from either side and was able to grind that weld off. If I'm screaming at you, it's because I still have my hearing protection on and I can't hear myself talking hardly. But anyway, easy enough to cut off if you just need to tack your skids on for temporary and then leave them on for 3 months. But anyway, go cut the other side off, get this out of the way and move forward. Okay, well, grinding really sucks, but I did get it off of there. I did have to grind it all along here where I welded it to get it to break loose, otherwise it wasn't coming off. Only damage this thing took was right here in the front, and I remember that rock strike was very tough. So I'm very pleased with this part of my skid plate. Gonna leave it, gonna weld it some more. I just stitch welded it because I wasn't sure if I was gonna leave it. I will put some more welds in there probably to hold it on. Gonna cut some of those tabs off next and get to welding a couple of those on. Pretty basic. Might do some skid plating or might just weld that back on again. I don't know yet, but I'll show you what I do when I get those cut off. I'm just going to take my grinder and I'm going to cut off the inside one, then I'm going to loosen the bolt and try to scoot it over and then cut the outside one. I don't want to tear the whole front end apart. I thought I was going to, and then I reconsidered. So I'll see if I can get at it going it this way. All right, you can see where I cut that off. I just took a grinder, of course, donning my safety equipment first, and cut it off. I also used the same cut-off wheel to grind me a spot there for welding. I take my slug and my factory edge, so I got a nice flat surface. I'm going to put it right where the other one was, basically. If you can see this, I'm going to put that right there, up against where I cut it off. You can see right there where I cut it, and I ground it down. I'm going to weld this standing up so that it gets plenty to hold in that little ground area, and that's the whole idea. Now I'm putting them back in the stock location because I don't know any better, and nothing I can find says that they need to be moved. So I'm going to put this one on, kick this over just a hair, cut that one off, put another one on. We'll see what happens here. We'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll get some gratuitous welding shots in here because welding on camera is fun. Hang on. All right, I think I got that figured out, kind of, sort of. Hope I got my welder settings right since I'm doing this on the camera for you. But got my little slug cut here. I'm going to put it in the middle. I'm guessing about right there. Maybe split that difference. All right. So I'm going to put it right there, I think. Let's see if I set my welder up right the first try. Got my freaking mask down here. And no, I didn't. I need a better grip on my ground. Try this. Alright, that wasn't bad. Not bad setup. I think I need to tap that over just a hair before I do the bottom of it. This probably all end up solid axle one day anyway, but you never know. Let me get a wire brush here real quick. I really want to make this thing live as an IFS truck on small tires and wheel it, because it's a lot of fun to wheel a less modified rig. It's a lot of fun to wheel a super modified rig too, but I done that and I tore that apart and I went back to this, and I want to make it live, so hoping this will live. Hang on just 1 second here. Check the bottom of it. Oop. Well, since I didn't take anything apart, my bushing is still there on the other side, so I definitely don't want to fry my bushing, so I'm going to do little welds a little bit at a time, but I'm going to end up putting them slugs on. Going to do them on the back, going to do them on the other side. I'll tune that back in if something interesting changes, but I think it's all going to be pretty much like this. Alright, so it is looking like I'm going to be able to get all of these done without tearing the front end apart and taking everything off. My biggest fear is the rack, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I got this scooched over. They're loose now. I loosened up all these bolts, and I got this scooched over far enough I can cut that one off and put another one in. I got the back loose, but I haven't moved it yet. Gonna cut those off and put them on. On the rack side, that's where I'm gonna have a problem. That's where my problem's gonna be, because the rack's in the way. I'm gonna try and cut that one off, maybe with a sawzall. Smush that back over where it goes. The other one's already mashed flat. Maybe I can make a longer slug and notch it over the factory one that's mashed flat, or just weld on top of that, or weld that bitch in place. That's my next idea. May not be able to get to that one yet because I'm tired of tearing the front ends of vehicles apart at the moment. And I'm going to try and get by with what I can. So I know I'll do one on the other side. Hopefully get one on the back side too. I'll tune you back in as progress gets made. Okay, so after crawling around under here in all the dirt, I really wish I'd have cleaned up the truck first, but I didn't. Here's what I got on these front ones. Don't mind it, one's crooked, it doesn't really matter. There's still room for these units to move. I've checked the back and made sure that the cams are still adjustable and everything will move in between there. Now, the problem I was having was never with them going outboard towards the outside of the vehicle, always inboard. I doubled them on this one. I singled the back side of this one, if you can see that. I did this one, the back side, and I put an extra angled brace on it. And then where I didn't want to remove the rack, I made a really long one and put it in there. You can see it back there, and I welded above and below and the back side of it. So it's a really good size piece in there. Can you see it right there? But anyway, I've got them going towards the back way. I'm going to wheel it, see how it works. If any of it ever moves outboard again, I'll go and put some here and here. But the always inboard was my issue. So that's what I got on this side. I'm going to duplicate the other side. I'm going to take it out in the back of my property and thrash on it, see if it works. But the real test will be Windrock. But that's what I'm doing to beef up the front for right now. I got skid plates coming. Definitely like what I did here on the front with this because it protects the radiator. It doesn't really cover up anything but the radiator, so it's not a problem. You can see where I've already bent it a little. I'm going to weld on some more stuff, make some skid plates, but for right now, beefing up this front end. I fixed that shock thing I had in the back. I still need to make some rear diff armor, so that's coming up. But this is what I got for now. I'll do the rear diff armor video and the skid plate video when I get there. Thanks for tuning in. Listen to me ramble a whole bunch. A lot of work to beef up this front end, but I think I'm going to have good success with it. I'll let you know.